So, hi everyone. My name is Ravi. I'm the co-founder CEO of Zeeve. And today on Web3 Voice, we have very exciting guest, Eneo Hollenbach, who is the co-founder of Relend Network, a very exciting concept in the roll-up ecosystem. So, hi Eneo, and welcome to Web3 Voice.
Hi everyone, great to meet you. Excited to chat about Relend, excited to chat about roll-ups, and let's go.
Yeah. So before we jump into the details of what Relend Network is doing, would love to know more about you, how you started your Web3 journey, and how your journey has been so far.
For sure. So I actually started off studying industrial psychology, was really not into crypto so much. And then I had two friends who got quite deep into it in sort of 20 they were in sort of 2016, 2017, but this was now I've just finished uni and they started sort of chewing my head off about it. So I got in quite hard at the end of 2020. Started working for like a cross-border payments company, and then really just dived into DeFi mainly on the business development side. Worked for a couple of different startups over the past few years, and then yeah, it's brought me to Relend, which is super exciting. Um, it's good to be on the founding side. Obviously very different from working in a startup, but was always lucky in terms of being able to work directly with founders and small teams in the past. Um, yeah, it's a bit about me.
Absolutely, it's definitely challenging to work with startups, but at the same time, it's very fulfilling because you come across startups who are very innovative, solving challenging problems. So it's very exciting. You always get to see what is happening and learn something new, learn something exciting, do something exciting. So so coming to Relay Network. We know that roll-up ecosystem has grown massively in last 2, 3 years. And initially it started with few roll-ups coming into the ecosystem like Optimism, Arbitrum, and then some of the ZK roll-ups, like we have ZK Sincera and then Polygon, and then we have Tyco as a base roll-up. And then the roll-up stacks came in, which drove quite a few other startups launching their own roll-ups. So within this ecosystem, Relay Network is again a very exciting startup. So what problem Relay Network is solving? What is your core value proposition that can help the roller builders?
Sure. So initially, when we were actually looking at launching our own chain. Because the issue that we saw in the rollup ecosystem is that there's not necessarily the ability for chains to have sort of native credit, and along with that, just the fragmentation of liquidity across the ecosystem, we thought needed to be solved. A lot of these new rollups and layer twos, they're like obviously at the core they're solving Ethereum scalability, and then they have their own unique value propositions on top of that, but mostly on the tech side. So we thought if we provide, I mean, obviously now like some of these new and sort of alternative layer ones have like some financial innovations as well. Um, so then we were looking at credit and thinking like how can we essentially rehypothecate funds in the bridge to create a system where credit's available as a CDP within the ecosystem and then is directly redeemable for USDC on mainnet. And then in sort of looking at this and building this, we realized quite quickly that a lot of other chains and rollups are experiencing a similar problem. And instead of just doing it for ourselves and having to sort of bootstrap an ecosystem from the ground up, we can plug into these well-funded teams and really provide a solid value proposition in terms of mainly increasing credit through providing stable coins to their lending markets. And yeah, I mean, at the core, we think the stable coin liquidity in crypto is extremely limited. I think it's probably quite widely held view, and it really so say like if you especially if you look at some of these newer chains like Swell or Puffer, where a lot of, or the Bitcoin ecosystem as well, like 99%, sometimes even of their TVL is like one asset. Like there's $500 million of Bitcoin on core, for example. And then they're like having a CDP allows for some of like those LPs to leverage their positions, provide stable coins into the ecosystem, and just have a much more efficient DeFi system overall. So yeah, I mean, at the core, we're solving stablecoin liquidity, and we're doing that through relending.
Got it. No, I think that's an awesome problem. We, as Rollup as a service provider, work with quite a few startups, not just in DeFi, but across different verticals. And especially in DeFi, we have seen startups struggling as far as liquidity is concerned on their newly generated or newly launched Rollup. No, I think this is you're absolutely right. I think the rollups have led to higher fragmentation. I know there are a lot of chain abstraction players now who are solving the fragmentation problem. And we launched the partnership with Circle few months back, where we provide native support for USDC. But that is on the technical integration side. But yes, end of the day, you do require liquidity. And I think Relend Network becomes super critical for quite a few DeFi startups. So, how easy it is for like what are your criteria to onboard a rollup who wants to partner with you to solve their stablecoin liquidity challenges?
So the main requirements from our side are an operational, like obviously we can start with them before they're on mainnet, but ideally they're live on mainnet and they have a lending and borrowing platform, where we can supply our liquidity into, and then ideally they also have like some native decks already as well, and that's enough for us to sort of start. Those are the main starting points. Um, then what we work on is then creating obviously their branded stablecoin. So some of our partners are happy to sort of go with RUSDC as the ticker, and others may want like it to be seamless from a user perspective, whereas all funds bridged into the ecosystem automatically arrive as this roll up USDC or roll up USD. Like an example of that is Plume for their chain. They basically have like if USDT or USDC is bridged into the ecosystem, they receive Plume USD. That's not something we're doing, just to clarify, but um, similar concept in terms of from a user perspective, it's seamless, and then those funds can be rehypothecated, and then yeah. So I mean, it's definitely those two things, but we're open to speaking to anyone building a chain that intends to have an active DeFi ecosystem.
Got it. Right. So primarily the requirement would be some kind of lending protocol needs to be running on the chain, which I'm sure a DeFi protocol or DeFi focused chain, it should be fairly easy to do. And then integration is pretty simple. You providing liquidity into the liquidity protocol of the lending protocol, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we basically deploy liquidity based on the ecosystem's needs, and we can like currently we can support sort of up to 250 million in RUSDC deployments. So, with a smaller chain, we'll start off lower, and then we can scale that capital as it's needed. Yeah,
Got it. Right. So, and I see as part of your roadmap, you have already started onboarding roll-up customers, right? So how do you see the early traction, and how do you see this Relend network going to accelerate the overall adoption of roll-ups? Because I see this as two-way. Some of the builders who are not or who are sitting on fringes want to launch their roll-ups, but they are struggling how the liquidity challenges are going to be solved. With Relend coming into picture, I think they will find it much more comfortable to launch their own rollup. And at the same time, rollups who have already launched and facing this challenge can use Relend to solve their challenges. So how do you, based on the early traction, how do you see the adoption happening?
For sure. So there's been a number of different chains and different stages that we speaking with. So one of our sort of first launch partners and one of the earliest chains we were chatting to was Starknet. And they're obviously an ecosystem that's been around for quite a while, but now they're in a stage where they're obviously wanting to revitalize their DeFi ecosystem. Like they have like ongoing incentive programs, and for them it's really like boosting the existing ecosystem, but we don't have the benefit of being able to position ourselves from day one as sort of the go-to stablecoin. So we'll start off with them, and it's obviously nice in terms of marketing with a later stage chain where their DEX has a following. They have multiple DEXs. Their lending protocol has got a community. There's already like TVL on their lending protocol, like high in sort of speculative assets, but there's very low stablecoin supply there. So if we suddenly inject a whole bunch of stablecoin supply, we're optimistic that'll be adopted throughout the ecosystem. Then with earlier stage chains, like we are in touch with some who haven't launched yet, sort of plan to do some sort of pre-deposit campaign there. So it's sort of really just to position ourselves from day one. And then with the guys who've just gone live, it's also then it's a little bit more, can take a little bit more time to just select the right lending partner, because they're like a lot of if the DeFi ecosystem is quite small, to understand like will there be borrower demand here if we put capital into a DEX, and then also for us it's just setting up incentives correctly so that it makes sense for users to borrow it, because at the end of the day, like most users are profit driven.
Got it. No, absolutely. And I think I can see, few startups within our builder ecosystem who would be interested in this. So we'll definitely connect you with few of our rollups, um, and see if they can utilize Real and Network to solve their liquidity challenges. So since you're coming to Eat Denver, and you're also have partnered with us for the rollup day, so I think we are very excited to have you on board for the rollup day. So what are your plans for Eat Denver? Any new exciting announcement that we are going to see there?
I think we've got quite a small team, so we'll maybe give the marketing side a break over that week as we focus on like connecting with new rollups, new layer twos. Really that's our goal. If we can like maybe to provide a bit more context on your previous question, we've chatted to probably 40 plus chains, and the crazy thing is like there's a whole lot more. The way that we sort of set up our code is that it's not basically the instances that we deploy, it's we can do it quite quickly. So we aim to really expand as quickly as possible and increase the amount of RUSDC out there.
Got it. No, absolutely. And I think within the rollup day also, we are expecting at least 150 plus builders on that day. So we are quite hopeful that you will get to meet quite a few rollup builders, some who
Yeah.
have already launched, some who are in the process of launching their chains. And then we have extended beyond rollups, and I think the way your model works, it is not specific to rollups only. End of the day, the liquidity challenges is across different app chains, right? The
Yeah.
larger app chain scenario. And we have recently partnered with Ava Labs, being their global partner for launching Avalanche L1s. And I can see, this can be easily extended to people who are launching their app chains using L1 stack as well. So I think the scope and the opportunities are immense here. And as you rightly mentioned, Starknet, as I know, about a month back, they have launched their own stack. So people who want to use their stack to launch their own ZK rollups. So I think the ecosystem is expanding now. A lot of exciting developments are happening, expanding the whole rollup ecosystem and app chain ecosystem. So yeah, so I think this is very exciting. So just last question. So how do you see the ecosystem expanding, and what are some of the roadmap items for Relend Network in 2025?
I think I mean our most pressing one is really just to get these integrations live. We're sort of at that stage where we aren't everything's new. Like every time we do something, it's the first time that we're doing it. So if I was to say give sort of concrete roadmap items, it's probably like go live on sort of five R2s, like 5 to 10 R2s by the end of Q2, and then that could sort of expand quite quickly after that. Um, there's also some other interesting things that we're working on in terms of like you chat to a lending protocol and they like the chain doesn't necessarily want to support a stablecoin, but now that lending protocol wants to have their own stablecoin. So I definitely see other applications of the sort of same tech. Um, and then there's also the scope for like the way that our model is set up is that risk is segregated between different deployments. So if like XL2 goes down, then YL2 will still be like 1-to-1 backed. But there are potentially benefits, especially with these multi-chain like stacks, and like obviously optimism sort of like interop is supposedly coming this year. So then potentially looking at doing a like one bigger or seeing how a global stablecoin would work could be interesting. I think in that scenario, we just have to make very sure, like we would probably like to only work with morpho deployments in terms of where we allow for the borrowing to happen. Um, yeah, I think there's a lot coming this year, and we're taking it day by day.
Got it. No, I think this is very, very exciting. And I think best of luck. We already see immense potential and there are massive opportunities in the market. And we are, again, very excited to partner with you guys. We'll see you at ETH Denver. We are very excited about the event. And with that, I would say thanks once again to join us on Web3 Voice today. And yeah, see you in Denver next week.
Awesome, Ravi. Great chatting. Keep well. Ciao.
Yep, you too. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining at Web3 Voice. Keep building, keep smiling.